Every day, thousands of thoughts pass through your mind. Some are small. Some disappear instantly. But a few stay. A single thought can change your entire mood. It can ruin your confidence, destroy your peace, and make you believe something about yourself that may not even be real. You wake up feeling fine. Then suddenly your mind whispers, "You're falling behind. You're not good enough. Everyone else has it figured out except you." And without noticing it, you start believing those thoughts as facts. But here's something most people never realize. Just because a thought appears in your mind, doesn't mean it's true. Your mind is not a perfect narrator. It is a survival machine. And survival machines are designed to detect danger even when danger doesn't exist. That's why your brain often focuses more on fear than reality. More on rejection than acceptance. More on worst-case scenarios than possibilities. Your thoughts are not always telling you the truth. Sometimes they are only reflecting your fears, your wounds, your stress, or your past experiences. Think about how many times you assumed something terrible would happen. And it never did. How many nights did you spend overthinking conversations? Replaying mistakes? Imagining people secretly judging you? Only to realize later that nobody was thinking about it nearly as much as you were. But in the moment, it felt real. Because emotions can make thoughts feel convincing. And the more emotional a thought feels, the more power we give it. That's where overthinking begins. A thought appears. You react emotionally. Then your brain searches for evidence to support it. Soon, one negative thought becomes 10. Then 10 become a story. And eventually, that story becomes your identity. I'm not lovable. I always fail. I'll never be happy. But those are not truths. They are interpretations. Your mind creates stories based on limited information. And when you're anxious, lonely, stressed, or emotionally exhausted, those stories often become darker. Imagine wearing dirty glasses for years. Eventually, you stop blaming the glasses and start believing the world itself is blurry. That's what negative thinking does. It changes the lens through which you see yourself and your life. A bad day becomes proof of a bad future. One rejection becomes proof that nobody cares. One mistake becomes proof that you're a failure. But reality is usually much more balanced than your thoughts make it seem. The problem is that most people never question their thoughts. They automatically obey them. If the mind says, "You're awkward," they believe it. If the mind says, "You'll embarrass yourself," they avoid trying. If the mind says, "You're not enough," they carry that invisible weight for years. But learning to question your thoughts can completely change your life. Not every thought deserves your trust. Some thoughts are temporary emotional reactions. Some are old fears repeating themselves. And some are simply habits your brain learned over time. You are not the voice inside your head. You are the person listening to it. That realization changes everything. Because once you stop identifying with every thought, you create space between yourself and your mind. And in that space, peace begins. Think about the sky during a storm. Dark clouds pass overhead. Thunder shakes the air. Rain falls heavily. But above those clouds, the sky itself remains untouched. Your mind works the same way. Thoughts are like weather. They come. They go. Some are calm. Some are violent. But they are not permanent. And they are not always accurate. One of the biggest lies the mind tells is this: if you think something long enough, it must be true. But repetition does not create truth. It creates familiarity. That's why many people keep reliving the same fears every day. Not because those fears are real, but because the brain became used to repeating them. The mind loves patterns. Even painful ones. Especially painful ones that feel emotionally familiar. Sometimes people stay attached to negative thinking because uncertainty feels scarier than suffering they already know. And that's why healing often starts with awareness. Awareness of the stories you constantly tell yourself. Awareness of the assumptions you never question. Awareness of how harshly you speak to yourself when nobody else is listening. Because if someone talked to your best friend the way your mind talks to you, you would probably tell them to walk away. Yet many people spend years trapped inside cruel internal conversations. Not because they are weak, but because they never learned that thoughts can be observed instead of believed. The human mind is powerful. But power without awareness can become destructive. A fearful mind can turn silence into rejection. A wounded mind can turn small problems into disasters. An insecure mind can turn comparison into self-hatred. And social media often makes this worse. You constantly see filtered moments of other people's lives. Their achievements. Their happiness. Their relationships. And your mind quietly compares your worst moments to everyone else's highlights. Then it tells you, you're behind. You're failing. You're wasting your life. But you are comparing reality to illusion. Nobody posts their breakdowns. Nobody uploads their loneliness. Nobody shows every sleepless night filled with doubt. Every human being struggles internally in ways others cannot see. Even the people who look the strongest. And this is why emotional awareness matters so much. Because when you understand that thoughts are not facts, you stop treating every emotion like an emergency. You stop panicking every time anxiety appears. You stop assuming every negative feeling means something is wrong with you. Sometimes your mind is simply tired. Sometimes you need rest, not self-hatred. Sometimes you need silence, not more noise. And sometimes the healthiest thing you can do is pause and observe your thoughts without immediately believing them. Ask yourself, is this thought absolutely true? Or is this fear talking? That single question can interrupt years of automatic negativity. Because once you become aware of your thinking patterns, you stop being controlled by them. You begin responding instead of reacting. You begin choosing which thoughts deserve your attention. And slowly, your inner world changes. Not overnight, but gradually. Like sunlight returning after a long storm. You start noticing that peace was never about controlling every thought. It was about not letting every thought control you. That is emotional freedom. Not a perfect mind, but a calmer relationship with your mind. And maybe that's the truth many people spend their whole lives searching for. You do not have to believe every thought you think. Some thoughts are fear. Some are insecurity. Some are pain speaking in your own voice. But they are not always reality. And the moment you realize that, your mind loses the power to define your entire life. So the next time your thoughts tell you that you are broken, that you are behind, that you are not enough, pause for a moment. Take a breath. And remember this: thoughts are visitors, not commands. And just because your mind says something, doesn't mean it's true.